Hello.
Hello
Welcome
there.
hey. Welcome everyone to the Glacier Song podcast. Today is a very special episode. It's the first one that I do in collaboration, and I'm so happy to have as a guest Yin Cheng-Kokott, my dear friend and collaborator. And yeah, we just connected on this call, and there's already been a lot of laughter and giggling, which is usually us. And just very recently, I read in the Woman Who Ran with the Wolves book about this Baubo goddess in Greek mythology that is just this belly laughter that connects actually with sexuality, and that is so healing to have this laughter between women, like this joy. And I remember also that's how we met in Berlin in that residency with yeah, at CTM Festival, and we were trying to read this poem outdoors, the one with the serpents, and no reason, but we just couldn't stop laughing.
I remember that moment very well. Somehow, I feel like that planted the seeds of us bonding very deeply to laughter. There was already a feeling of like, oh, we have a lot of shared interests. But this growth was coming from, yeah, I think this expansion of love and joy was from this moment on, like, wow, the laughter was just within us when we connect. It's quite
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, it's very beautiful actually. And yeah, I just love it how we just see each other and laugh. Like it's just, it is a very beautiful bonding. Yeah, that comes. Yeah, I think as Clarissa Píndola Estés says, like it comes from the body.
Mm.
Yeah, it's connected to the body. And I was thinking how to introduce you. I was thinking maybe asking you, but actually it's like, okay, let's just see what comes if I think of you and how you work and how we connect. So I think, our introductions or bios or all of this stuff keep evolving as we go. But what I thought of you this morning is like, you are an artist and explorer of the body in connection with image, myth, and story. That your diverse explorations of the body over the years include performance art, yoga training, Buto, healing arts, Shibali, and that there has been a focus on the erotic and the senses in the way that you approach the body and these images and myths. And this is again connected to how we bonded when we met. So yeah, what's your what's your insight on this?
Definitely, there's still this ongoing research manifesting as artistic project or not on this sexual revolutions
Mm.
as a collective and as an individual. So yeah, this erotic empowerment as the use of erotic said in a book that this as this raw creative life force within us. And I have a few personal experience in the workshops and in my own research. I have this moment of finding this connection with this raw life force. And that really changed my perspective about sexuality and eroticism. And I would love to keep exploring that. And I believe that that's a lifelong journey that it will never stop. And there's so much to expand and so much dismantle. So yeah, I commit to that also on my personal level. Of course, there's challenges also. But I also love connect that to this topic with other women as well.
Yeah, I connect with what you said of this raw creative life force. And for me, it was a lot of what I discovered in an embodied way when I went and I was with the glaciers in a way. And it's very nice and very interesting that I read this chapter in the Woman Who Ran with the Wolves book this last few days, The title of the episode is called, or the chapter, Heat, Retrieving a Sacred Sexuality. And yeah, it talks about Babo, as we said, this laughter. And it talks about sexuality and the dirty goddesses in a way that the main feature of this is an intense sensory awareness, an intense sensory awareness that includes, but is not limited to, a woman's sexuality. And I thought that gave me the words, really, the very specific words of what I felt when I was in the glaciers, when I was at Og, the lost glacier. And I felt this very vivid energy that was connected to sexuality, that was connected to sexual energy, to eros. And I like that sensuality and senses and sensations are all words that come from the same root, because I think is something about feeling and is very embodied. So through this experience of this vessel and this body, we get to to feel very alive and to feel this raw expression. And it was something that really awakened all of this for me in a very big way. And that for some years I've been trying to put words and to find a way of explaining this experience, because it's very sensorial. And yeah, it's not always that easy then to put words into it, but the way that I found it just a few days in the book is something I really liked.
Can you repeat that sentence again for us?
Yes.
There you go.
I mean, look, I will read the paragraph. There is a being who lives in the wild, underground of women's natures. This creature is our sensory nature, and like any integral creature, it has its own natural and nutritive cycles. This being is inquiring, relational, bounding with energy sometimes, quiet at other times. It is responsive to stimulus involving senses, music, movement, food, drink, peace, quiet, beauty, darkness. It is this aspect of a woman that has heat. Not a heat like in let's have sex, baby, baby, but like a fire underground that burns high, then low in cycles. From the energy released there, a woman acts as she sees fit. A woman's heat is not a state of sexual arousal, but a state of intense sensory awareness that includes, but is not limited to, her sexuality.
Bravo.
Yeah.
I have to think about this quote, the use of erotic. So, what the story you just shared remind me of this quotes I was mentioning earlier. I'm going to read it right now for you. The erotic is a measure between the beginning of our sense of self, the chaos of our strongest feelings. It is an internal sense of satisfaction to which, once we have experienced it, we know we can aspire. For having experienced the fullness of this depth of feeling and recognizing its power, in honor and self-respect, we can require no less of ourselves.
Yeah.
And this book is a very short essay, and I read it actually a couple years ago. I was surrounded by a group of people who were exploring multidimensional of gender and sexual expressions. And I understand it in the intellectual level, and there's a curiosity, but I just haven't experienced that yet. Up until I went to an erotic massage workshop.
Okay.
I don't know, have I ever shared with you? I went with my sister, like a very soul sister, and
Mm,
as a safe space to explore with each other. And we learn how to use touch,
yeah.
even if it's a very still movement of just a hand cupping your genital, that creating a heat.
Mm.
From this connection to the heart, to the safety, and to the trust with this person, something get awakened. And in that workshop, I was being cupped by her hands, but I was telling her how to massage me. So that was a practice of the way of consent from Betty Martin about
Yeah.
learning to communicate our needs and boundaries and desires. It's really a sense of understanding who you are and communicate that to others, um, and trusting that being clear with your no and yes will bring more pleasure into our life and also more authentic relationships. So it's so deep on so many levels from this roots of pleasure.
Mm.
And when she was cupping me, I have this experience of feeling something was triggered. It's really hard to describe. It's an embodied feeling of like something crack open, and it's like
Wow.
a lightning feeling in deep in my pelvis, but doesn't feel like it's in actual body. It's my energetic body. Something was experiencing this lightning experience. Since then, I'm not the same person ever again. It's like my body understand, my energetic body and my physical body have a sensation what's erotic power empowerment.
Wow, that sounds so profound.
It was a really profound moment that I keep coming back and thinking about um, in
Yeah.
many different moments.
And I remember when I read the uses of the erotic that one of the shadows we have in society about the erotic is that actually the whole mainstream society looks at it as something quite vulgar and quite superficial, but actually, also in Women Who Run with the Wolves, it talks about sexuality as sacred, and there's all these layers that are connected with the energy of it. And I liked when you said about the yes and no and the consent. That is something that you can work in your sexuality and how you communicate all of this. And I think that's very important. And I also have developed more of this in the recent years. And, it's a big change. And but then we can also transfer this into our whole life, listening of when our body is consenting, not only for a sexual relationship or way of touch or anything like that, but also of um going and having that meeting, or going and saying yes to something or saying no to somebody. Or so all of these moments in which well, that is all of the time, like, are we consenting? Is our body and is our soul consenting of doing this job or of doing this, or in living here, or anything, that we can transfer this knowledge that comes from the body and actually from the sexual energy to be this compass of the yes and the no.
Yes, totally. I found that that was also my personal revolution to understand that, well, from this very deep knowing that there's this connection above and below from
Yeah.
our higher self and our lower belly, where this um, responding center that really coming from a place that having a bigger picture, having all the wisdom we had from our ancestry and in the future. And from there, we know what decision feels just right for us, and nobody else can tell us.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that to think about that we used to compromise and thought we're sacrificing for ourselves and therefore, like bring more harmony into the world or into our relationships. But actually what we're doing is no good
No,
because the relationship is not real, and we are not inviting other also to do the same.
exactly.
So yeah, I really feel um, the practicing of keep connecting to our sexual center and to practicing this consent in every moment possible and available to us are such important center to have, that to keep practicing. It's a bit like a muscle in the end. And my idea is at some point in all the facet of my life, I am practicing this and I am embody this. Therefore, my environment also start to shift in that way.
Mm. Yeah, it's very interesting. The point of you start changing something in yourself and in your practice and how you approach things from your own response, and then how the environment readjusts and starts also like responding in the same way.
Yeah, this somehow made me think of on the topic of abundance also, like that, from this connection to ourselves and to our truth, personal truth, that the environment is as this resonance, like the body as a resonance, that we are resonating outward, that this is the wave
Yeah.
I am. And then you're attracting to the similar wave into your life.
Mm.
And from my personal experience, it has been on the abundance topic, also the sexuality. I feel like it's really unraveling of like, how do we unpack and unravel all the patterns and more limited thoughts, ideas around our sexuality, about self-worth, and from there, how we can then, through just changing the state of who we are and how we are, we we kind of let go of controlling the environment. You just, by changing yourself, the environment is shifting. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap it into words. It's a little bit, it's
Yeah,
so.
I think it's the agency of, or is the, I mean, it's the rules of frequency, no? You were talking about waves, and it's like how the music works and how the sound waves works, and yeah, how when there's this, yeah, tuning fork that vibrates at a specific frequency, and if you put it together with some other that has the same, they will start vibrating together. But if they are at different frequencies, they won't get together, no? So this is this sort of this law of attraction between things, ideas, people that vibrate at the same frequency. And yeah, I think this is not only a nice idea, it is pretty real, no? And with the quantum physics that are nowadays explaining a lot of how not only the physical world works, but also how it also works with energy. I think that's something that the more we embrace it, all of us, the best, and the world can take a shift to another level of love and peace, probably.
Yeah, totally. I am just thinking about this metaphor, like in relationship to this tuning fork, that there is this question you can ask yourself, like, are you a thermometer or your thermometer, right? Like, are you
Yeah.
changing the temperature based on your environments, and
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
are you a thermometer, that you are stating, you are resonating the temperatures and the condition, and stay in that way no matter the environment, how the environment is, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore shifting the environment. And I've been thinking a lot about this because I think we're all social animal,
Yes.
and there is definitely a strong tendency to try to blend in, and um
Yes.
yeah, this I guess sometimes this collective waves of certain frequency, we are kind of coded as a human, as a social creature, to to connect and to vibrate on the same resonance. So yeah, it's really again, I have to say, I feel like it's really a practice of being and keep like trusting yourself, and through the practice you see that wow, that's a positive change I can do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Virgo, that you are Sun in Virgo, practice daily basis, daily routine, and that's always been like so inspiring for me, that I have like no Earth on my birth chart nearly, and yeah, I'm surrounding myself with Virgo friends. But also like my sixth house, like it's a Virgo house is very full with planets, so of course there's something that is very important for me to connect with the body and to go with routines and daily practice. It's been something that has truly transformed my life and how my well-being, and how I'm able to give my best to the world as well.
Tell me a bit more of your daily practice now. I'm curious.
My daily practice.
What center you?
I think it keeps changing as well. Like, that for a while there was a lot of starting the day dancing. I think there was a big part of the last year, and creating this project that I'm now about to start birthing, like the Water the Lover, the music with glaciers. And now it shifts a little bit more into strength exercise, and doing every morning sort of a combination of it took like 12 minutes strength and cardio combination of exercise, and it really helps me feel strong and feel capable, and I really like that. And then I mean, I might start with some softer movement in just to wake up, or a bit of meditation as well. Like, I usually do a bit of meditation, like 10-minute meditation before, and then I do the exercise. And then yeah, sometimes depending on time, I like to write or pull out a card for the day, and then shower. And I like to, this is something that you inspired me actually, and now that I remember. And now I eat eggs for breakfast every day, protein. And I remember actually when I was visiting you in Berlin, you were doing that.
Yes, thinking of that, I am actually eating less egg now.
Oh.
It's I'm learning more about macrobiotic diets,
Yeah.
and so I'm understanding kind of like what food in what kind of nutritions work best for me, right?
Exactly.
And I noticed that eating eggs are very nice for me in the winter, because they have a lot of yang energy and they are good protein source and they're delicious. I try to not eating it every day, but with replacement, I do eat much more beans and different kind
Excellent.
of root vegetables and um yeah, I think before I'm kind of like of beans, so I'm kind of needing so much eggs to have enough protein for me. But now with more consciousness, I bring more eggs and not eggs, I bring more beans for my life.
But
Uh,
I remember, do you remember when we were in Berlin in our well, in the residency of the Glacier project, that you wanted to have like every day noodles for lunch, and then one day I think I cooked like chickpeas, and then you felt like, wow, this is like so much energy for the full day, like that's incredible.
yes, totally. I think you enlightened me in that way also. That I noticed, wow, like your diet's so much more diverse. And I do have a soft spot with noodles for a long time. It still is, but I don't
Yeah,
crave it
yeah.
so much anymore because when I start eating more whole grain,
Yeah.
and especially brown rice and
Mm.
buckwheat, I notice, well, my body feel different, and that's also a process of learning what feels good in my body, to have
Yeah.
more sensitivity and to eat slower also. That's also a practice of
Yeah, it's a
having
practice I
more,
should.
yeah, having more conversation or more dialogue with the body instead of just like putting in everything into the body.
Yes. And I think it's like what we were talking about sexuality, no? It's a life going exploration. And I think it has different phases or like artistic practice as well. Like, now I'm very happy with the eggs. And I feel my body feels really good with this. It's a bit of a lower carb diet, and yeah, and I like how the body feels. So, but maybe in another stage I will need something else. So for me, it's never been about choosing a very closed um, dogma or diet. Is about an ongoing a life exploration as well.
Yes, totally. I remember this quotes about the from the parallel sewer from Octavia Butler, who's really um, a writer who write sci-fi and futuristic topic through stories and fictions. And there is this quotes about that everything you touch changes you, um,
Mm.
and how God is change, and was talking about the end of the world. And that really struck me to think about that everything that you interact, you change the thing you interact with, but also you are being changed by the thing.
Yes.
And this is this symbiosis.
Yeah, is what symbiosis and reciprocity is, no? And that's probably the most fundamental principle of life.
Yeah,
And
thinking about the coral, the oceans, like everything kind of live together and work together. And but they are all being themselves, right? They're all
yeah.
nourishing by this relationship. So I've been thinking a lot of how I can bring more nourishment into my own life, but also into the people around me. So
Mm.
I'm very, yeah, come back to the topic of sexuality, that to listen to, like, to really like surrounded, I'm really practicing surrounding myself with people I feel very nourished to be with.
Yes. Mm. Yeah, that's so important. And yeah, for me, it was like such a treasure to connect with you in this sense.
Feeling the same.
Yes. Yeah, and I think we since we met at CTM, we kept like nourishing this relationship and this ideas, and we always recommend books to each other, and that's very nourishing, very inspiring. And then we also collaborated through two residencies to create a choreography for my Glacier project that I've been creating an album with sounds of glaciers and my voice. The first single is being released in 10 days or so, The Egg. And Yin and I collaborated for the live show associated to this album, which already premiered in London and in Spain last summer. And yeah, we had, I think, a very interesting process of creating movement as well and connecting through the body, very interdisciplinary as well. It was, I remember when the first residency was in Berlin in the forest near where you live. And the second one was in Deltebre in Lobrador, in the creation space of Roberto Olivan Performing Arts. And yeah, we were a week in this residency space with lots of dance floor available. But what we were doing, I remember, it was like listening to the music first, coming up with some poetic image. So one of these or some of these phrases that we created listening to the music and that inspired the movement, where I remember this one was on the egg, on this song that is coming soon, that it was the image of walking on the body of the earth for the first time. There was also creating space inside a cave of honey for the string song. There was sinking the boat of sacred rage for the mermaid. Climbing the mountain and finding the temple, the human. Traveling inside the body of a snake. I think that was for the egg as well. And yeah, those are the ones that I have here. So yeah, how was this process for you, and what did it open up in you, and yeah, how did you experience this?
I feel that I was feeling like really embraced that because all this tool, the process I did mostly was through solo work. And they were also multidisciplinary, but I haven't really done them in order to create a movement, and this movement gonna be seen by the audience directly in the performance. And I'm not the person moving. So there's a lot of like first time away, although it's not the first time I collaborate with somebody on a multidisciplinary projects and working with movements. So that was really feel like a new opening for me, how I can transmit or share a process that is so intimate for my subconscious.
Mm,
Um,
yes.
because I really love working with images and I work a lot with ancestors as well. And sexuality also feel like such a deep layer of self that I want to go deep into myself to bring something into the light that feels truthful to share, right? And I also have this I feel like there's this resonance between us that you are such an intuitive mover. And I also get a lot of inspiration from you and how you receive those tools that I share. And so there's this yeah, receptivity from you, and also how you feel trust and openness to just share whatever comes into your body and what images. So there's this really a blending of both of how our somatic body relate to the song, and they intertwine together a bit like a snake, a snake sister.
Um,
Um, and I love that there's so much poetry within our process that just coming out of deep listening, with the ideas of there's gonna be the end will be a choreography, so it will be something repeatable, and but something that feel like it's triggered by a real embodied feelings and a visual that you can come back to. And this visual can be so rich that stepping on the earth for the first time can be so many different feelings coming into your body. Yeah,
mm.
I'm curious to hear how was it for you, like in also.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it just felt so organic and so natural. Like sometimes when you think of choreography, it's all like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. But it was not, well, it was not at all like that. It was just, as you were saying, like trusting the movements that felt natural to the body, to my expression. And these visuals and these poetry lines inspired on our vision after listening to the music was just giving me these anchors that really help make giving it meaning and giving it, yeah, deep sense when I'm performing, because I don't want to be performing my songs and be thinking like, okay, 1, 2, 3, move this arm up. I'm want to, yeah, perform my songs and feel like now I went through the body of the snake. I came out of the body of the snake and now I'm stepping to the earth for the first time. And that's a narrative that I have in my head. It is not something that the audience will like naturally perceive in that precision, but it helps connect and convey the emotion and the world and the narrative that I'm building in this project through music, movement, my performance, and all the layers. So it's been so key, it's been so important, and it's been so profound to be able to work in this way with my body. And for me, I think in all my previous projects that have been more focused on music, I never went that far with movement. And it was the first time that I was like, okay, my show now of this album and my music, I'm going to express it with my voice and my body, because I recognize that those are tools that I have. And though I've never been trained as a dancer professionally, I recognize that I can move my body in an intuitive way, in a way that communicates. That's something that I naturally have, even though I might not have technique or whatever. But it's something that adds to the art, I feel.
Yeah, I found this so inspiring to see that how you just embrace and also the recognition of, okay, I have this body and I love, you have this groove in you and how I can and really claim that for myself and also to I also feel like, it's a bit like um what's the word? It's a bit like redefine really in your own way what kind of performance you want to offer to the audience and I personally also feel that what really move other people is what move you.
Yeah, true.
And like when we connect to those feeling, those visual that deeply inside of us, where we are resonating with the audience in such a powerful way because that's what we truly connect to. And I like to think about, connecting with audience or in the performing arts that you are opening an energetic portal.
Yes.
And this has really been something I am anchoring toward. That what tool helped me to be totally present in the process and being this organic matter and being this through this presence, through this all this feeling, I become a vessel, and therefore it's a channel for a bridge for the other person to also enter this dimension. So I really found that you embodied that beautifully in our process. I'm very
Yeah.
proud.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's really special, like when you can perform and open a world for the people present and be fully present with your heart and your body. And that's what I wanted to do with this project, because in some others that, are totally fine, but sometimes you are either playing instruments or mixing on the computer. There's something for me missing in the connection if you have even an instrument. Like if I can be just with my voice and with my body, like there can be a new level of connection and presence for me with the audience.
Yeah, I can totally relate. I found that the body has such um body is such this magnets that when you are really embodying your body in whatever way, I believe the instrument can also, but bodies is something that everybody has.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when you move your body, it's a bit like when even the other person was just singing, feeling some emotions, or the other person is doing a simple arm movement, or they're doing some hard workout. You feel that in your body too. It's really a powerful tool to connect with others. So I totally resonate, and I'm very happy that yeah, you found through the tool that we share that you found a way to connect and to be present. And in the same time singing and there's so much muscle you're using in the same time.
Yeah, yeah. No, it kept it. I remember in the beginning I was only dancing, and then I added the singing, and it took a bit of practice and training to do both at the same time. But now I feel like pretty, yeah, I feel very strong with it. So yeah, I'm so grateful that we worked on this together, and you like helped me open this portal also of the body with my singing. And I don't know, I was remembering this image that you talked to me, that I think you got from Buto, this sort of water bag that is hanging from the earth. So I love this kind of images that make you feel and make you be present in different ways. So I don't know if you keep like referring to this kind of images in your practice, in your daily life, like yeah, that you took from so many inspirations.
Totally. The water body is something I already connect to for a very long time, and I do a lot of somatic dancing, meaning that I in my dance I already work with a lot of images, and for me those images and feeling are very important trigger for me to enjoy the movements. It's a really strong engine for me. I believe everybody are different, but for me images and text and those elements are very powerful tool for me to move in a way that feels good and feel authentic.
Mm.
And but the practice with Buto, with Minako Saki, I went to a teacher training with her, with idea of like solidify choreography practice and also learning about her tool. I was attracted by this line that you just shared, that she's sharing the program. Body was a water bag came from the earth. I was like, what does this mean? Like, like I was trying to understand to my body, like how that would feel. And in the practice, in the training, I gradually understand that there's this relationship with the gravity, and there's this very deep sensing sensitivity of the body and feeling all this water within you and allowing to flow into different space and the connection of the breath and the movement, and also the power of images. And there were so many combination, but the foundation was that this water bag interacting with the gravity, and it's a bit of like letting go, just letting your body hang, and thinking about this earth, that it has a gravity, right? And it's pulling you. So if you think about the earth in
Mm.
all this different way it can move, that you're a bit like hanging from the earth.
It's a way of feeling supported by the earth.
Yes, you're being pulled, but also there's this freedom of hanging when you are connecting to gravity in this very um
I like
this
it.
yeah, in the way of like letting go, letting the earth hold you
Yeah.
and to the gravity, and your body was naturally being held, and everything become freer, less effort. So
Nice.
yeah, I feel that this going through her training really solidify my um my moving practice, to
Yeah.
understand that from the foundation fundamental level, that how I can move this water bag in the way that is organic. I think we learned a lot of dance, different kind of dance and movement practice. That was a lot about aesthetic. It's a lot about entertain, or showing a certain kind of shapes, and that's also wonderful. We also enjoy that. But I found that for me, to understand this body as a water bag is very profound, because it really impact all the movement in my life, how I sit, how I walk, how I jump, and it also changed the way I teach yoga and do yoga practices, and because I understand on the fundamental level what's my relationship with the gravity, and it's on the spiritual level too. I'm letting go more.
Oof, I'm feeling like so much relaxed now. I think seeing myself as a water bag. And again, like I feel water for me, connecting to the beginning again, like it connects to this way of flowing and fluidity that is very connected to sensual as well. So I start feeling like the roots of my sensuality as well, when I think of water, when I think of the sound of water, that actually at the moment it's raining here. But yeah, there's this aliveness in the element of water, and we are, of course, bodies of water. And yeah, this idea of the bag, I think it makes you feel that yes, you are already supported, your roots are already into the earth, into the ground, it's pulling you through gravity. So that's done. That's, yeah, you don't need to make any effort for that. That's done. So then with the rest, you can just like flow with it and know that this pulling and this support will always be there.
Yeah, I love how you put it that, it's done. Like you don't
Yeah,
have to
done.
do
Fine.
anything to connect to the earth or to be grounded. It's there if you allow it to happen.
Yeah.
And but then also understanding, okay, how then I can relax all the different part of my body, letting the water flow as it usually does. And I witnessed how my teacher Minako Seki move, and a very simple movement conveys so much because of it's a bit like you're looking at natural matter. When you look at the water flow, it's just it flowing, it's beautiful. The ocean, um, the ocean coming in and coming out, and how it eaves and up, and you just feel that there's this beauty in there, this natural momentum of things. So
Yeah.
it's a bit like allowing the body to become neutral again.
Yeah, maybe allowing this more primordial, no? Like when you're thinking of the sea, like we're also doing the waves of the sea through the air that comes in and comes out through our bodies. And this is already like as relaxing as when we are at the sea and when we are witnessing it, but we have it within us as well, like this movement of the waves of the air that pull our and move our own waters inside.
Yes, I'm feeling very sensual right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's also this breath. I feel like when we do something we're not familiar with, or when we tense, or when we have emotion feeling tense, like we hold our breath. And this practice also learning like to really keep flowing with the breath. Uh, as if in yoga, in many movement practices, it's about like finding that breath and following that, and it's really a tuning of like making yourself so we do a lot of shaking in the practice, and it's about like cleaning inside, and because sometimes we hold so much in our head in our pelvis, and we can't move because we just hold so much of
Yeah,
the emotions of thoughts, and
yeah,
they are blocking us in a way, this mental center or sex center, they can carry so much generational weight as well, and what just a
yeah,
daily short kind of like inhibit our body because we're like tense in all this different area. And so yeah, in the through the shaking we were it's called falling and bouncing. We're kind of falling and bouncing as this water bag, and it has this
yeah,
interaction with the gravity, and also cleansing all that we are more receptive to beauty, we're more receptive to creativity and to our sexuality, and so they are all together really. um One cannot separate from the other.
no, together in this body of water. Yeah, so we invite everyone that is listening to us to feel like a water bag that is pulled from the center of the earth, supported, and yeah, shaking off everything that we are holding on to that it's not helping this water bag to flow and relax and be open, because that's, I mean, we could talk forever, but probably we need to start ending. But yeah, that those are, I think, the water. the relaxing, and then we have more capacity to create, as you were saying, to be open to sexuality, to be open to life. Those are the feminine principles that have been like also so distorted in our society, that is very young, very masculine, very productive all the time. And yeah, to really allow these waters, this relaxation is what makes a huge difference, because it not only allows you to receive all of this abundance, interest in life, libido, sexuality, but also to balance the whole being of yourself, and then help of the balance of the whole world.
Yes, totally. We need the action, but also need the stillness. It's this balance of having
Yeah.
the masculine and feminine energy moving in this infinite circle. Is this like towers
Yeah.
symbol that within the masculinity there's femininity, within the femininity there's masculinity. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I really hope that you enjoy this sensational water bag. Maybe you want to practice standing, or you can lay on the bed or on the floor. Just roll around, shake, and let the weight drop onto the earth. Let the gravity do its work.
Yes. And talking of symbols, I think maybe we can, and talking about the egg, because yeah, it's my new single coming in 10 days, and or less maybe when this is posted. And yeah, it's the first song that I published made with glaciers, and it's connected to the glacier Og, that actually is the last glacier in Iceland. It already melted due to climate change, and I had this revelatory experience there of enhanced sensory awareness and this enhanced sexual energy feeling, and this message for surrender and pleasure. And the egg song starts with this line of pleasure is the origin. And by that time that I composed the egg, I never heard of the cosmic egg myth of creation, that is that egg that is actually surrounded by a serpent. And when we met, we just read this poem of the Festival of Serpents. So I feel like everything is connected there. Um, and yeah, I feel this is such an ancient symbol for beginning of life, for potential, for the infinite possibilities, and in a way also connected to sexuality. What does the egg mean for you?
Ooh, the egg. The egg now have a very strong symbol for me about connection to my lower tail, the pelvis, and the fountains, so the top
Mm.
of my head. There's this um there's this balancing between these two ends, and if you imagine yourself as an egg, it it will stand, it can stand, but this balance is so subtle. And,
Yeah, true.
but it will not really break, but it will bounce around. And the stance
Party egg.
of keep finding this center, keep coming back to the center through it's it's you can't even really control it. It's if you ever try to stand the egg, which I did in the practice of teacher training. You can't really control how it will stand, but you can be still. You can listening to its curve. You can observe how which point is the point, and be more and more familiar with that balance. And I think for me, egg is like that. And also, egg is a symbol of something incubating and birth. And on my personal level, there's so much different journey in different continents and in different professions, and I believe in this kind of cycle of life and death, and to keep rebirthing yourself,
Yes.
to keep following the cycles and allowing to think, keep renewing itself. And so yeah, that's act for me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. It's been such a pleasure. And, I feel like we could keep going and thread one theme like from the other for the whole day. But that's probably enough for our podcast.
Thank you so much. I really feel lots of love and nourishment to share this conversation and feel very grounding too. It's always a reminder, when you meet one another and talk about those topics, and you remember again that, wow, you are not alone on those topics, and
Mm,
there's so much resonance out there, and it's good to share with you.
yeah, very beautiful and very nourishing to share. Thank you so much. I remember the poem of the serpents. So now we're gonna end reading the poem in which we connected originally, which is the Festival of Serpents. And I'll see if I find also the original recording of when we were rehearsing in Berlin and breaking into laughter, because that might be contagious laughter, sexual laughter of joy, of obscenity that Clarissa Píndola Estés talks in Women Who Run with the Wolves, that is so healing and so sacred to share this between women.
Okay, you will come. We bring you.
The Festival of Serpents. Shining ones awake, we seek your chosen temples in caves and sheltering sandhills and sacred banyan roots. Oh, lift your dreaming heads from their trance of ageless wisdom, and weave your mystic measures to the melody of flutes. We bring you milk and maize, wild figs and golden honey, and kindle fragrant incense to hallow all the air. With fasting lips we pray, with fervent hearts we praise you. Oh, bless our lowly offerings and hearken to our prayer. Guard our helpless lives and guide our patient labors, and cherish our dear vision like the jewels in your crest. Oh, spread your hooded watch for the safety of our slumbers, and soothe the troubled longings that clamor in our breasts. Swift as streams and soundless as the dewfall, subtle as the lightning and splendid as the sun. Seers are symbols of the ancient silence, where life and death and sorrow and ecstasy